Yes, we are now live. Let me open up chat. Say hello to everyone in chat. Okay.
Hello, gentle viewers. Welcome to the night hour. We'll be taking your calls.
Hello, first caller. Yeah, I think straightforward shit.
Well, that's an interesting question.
Microtransactions. I'm sorry, that's just my generic gamer impression.
Win one in my video game.
Alrighty.
Really attacking our key base right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Whoop. Sorry. Alright. Twitch ads are getting more and more obnoxious. I say as I stream live on Twitch. Sweet. Awesome. We shall go live new to, as in, show our faces. Here we go. Should be fine. Hey. Hello, everyone. Hello.
People.
Hey, everyone. Let's, without further ado, we've already... Sorry for making everyone late. Sorry for starting late, everyone. But let's kick off the show with the intro music.
You are now listening to Doublejump Radio.
G'day, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Doublejump Radio. I'm your co-host, Abir, and I'm joined once again by my co-host, John. John, how are you, my friend?
I'm alright. I'm watching Stranger Things, which we'll talk about later. Been playing games, which we might talk about, but probably not. Otherwise, alright.
Yeah, and we're also joined by a special guest, Kai Holroyd. Kai, how you doing, my friend?
Hello. I am wonderful. Yeah, I'm really good.
Good to have you back.
Yeah, always a pleasure.
Got yourself some new digs.
Yeah, got to dust off the old headphones and actually have a desk, so I'm not just balancing my mic on a pile of books.
This is what we do for you. Kai moved house, set up a new studio for you, the viewers and the listeners.
If you could see outside the door, there is a pile of stuff I've yet to unpack.
You literally moved this week, right?
I moved today.
Oh, wow. Holy...
Busy.
Wow. That is dedication, folks. That is dedication right there. Thank you so much, dude. Thanks for... Now I feel really
That's
bad.
The whole word guarantee.
I was like, hey, man, is it okay if we move up one day? Neck minute.
Yeah, that stuff can wait.
You got the essentials out. It's a chair, a desk, and a podcast setup.
Yeah.
Yeah, microwave, everything else. It's not necessary. Well, let's dive straight into the news because it's been a pretty bumper news week in a way. I think with the PlayStation State of Play kicking things off, kicking off Summer Games Fest. I think it officially had the Summer Games Fest branding I saw in the top left corner. So I'm going to officially declare this the start of the Summer Games Fest well and truly happening. Yeah. Let's clap it on.
I feel like we need a bell.
Ding, 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 ding.
Like a ribbon to cut, maybe.
Yeah, that's better.
Well, John, do you wanna kick us off with I guess a rundown of what was announced at the State of Play presentation on, I think it was Friday, wasn't it? Like Friday our time. Friday was
sounds
Saturday.
right.
Yeah,
I've already forgotten. But I will be yeah. So, Sony's kind of the first shot of this E3 season, a few days before everything else on this Friday. So more than a few days, a week. So I'll be running through the recap I wrote for Doublejump that you can check out online if you're listeing. Otherwise, you just watch the presentation. That probably helps too. So first off, the announcement of Resident Evil 4 Remake, announced for 2023. This has been rumored forever, as far as I remember, like at least a couple of years or so, but it's been finally revealed. It's kind of in the same, going from the trailer, it seems to be very much in line with the previous two remakes of Resident Evil 2 Remake and 3 Remake. So a lot darker, more grounded, far less campy than the original 4 is, which I don't know, I'm kind of mixed on personally.
So,
but
yeah, question on that. Is it? Like, is it actually less campy, or is it just like because of what they've shown so far? It's because like you can see more of the gore that maybe it comes across that way.
maybe, I don't know. I guess we can't know, but it definitely feels similar. So, like, I don't know. I think the idea is that it feels like, you know, of one with the previous two remakes. So I'd be surprised if it's all that similar. I don't know. I kind of like the idea of like, if you're gonna remake, I like that it has like a completely different tone. Personally, as someone who really likes the original 4, so
I don't know if you can take the camp out of Resident Evil. Like, it's a series. A guy punched a boulder into nothing.
Well, that was 5, but let's see how they do 5. But this one they have like a giant automaton that like chases you across a bridge. Like one of the villains is like a like 20 or like an 18-year-old pale dwarf man who's like constantly cackling at you while he runs out of the room. And just like,
oh god, yes. This is like that was the whole twist with the game, was like, oh, something's up with these villagers, and it turns out they've got this gigantic worm thing, and like a really bad case of tapeworm.
That's the way to put it.
What are you buying? I just thank you. I just remember that guy that, like, cause I didn't play the original 4 when it came out in its time, but I watched a playthrough of it a couple of years ago, and I was like, this is like, there's something about there's a lot of charm in Resident Evil 4, I think.
Yeah, it's very openly silly, even by Resident Evil standards.
Yeah.
But the trailer also reveals that, quote, PlayStation VR 2 content is also in development for the game. I don't know. No one, like, the way it's worded means that it could either be sectioned off content on its own, or it could be like a full VR mode in line with RE7, even though it's like third person. I don't know. Like, we don't know what that means yet.
There was a VR, like an Oculus version of Resident Evil 4 that came out a couple of years ago, and apparently that was like a complete overhaul.
That was like 3 months ago, wasn't it? That was very recent.
Was it very recent? I thought it was longer, but I could be mistaken. But yeah, that one apparently is like a really good conversion. From what I saw, it seemed like it was like actually changed, like the movement and everything was changed to suit VR. So maybe this might be a similar thing here as well.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe the VR is where they put all the camp.
Yes.
It's only in VR mode.
The normal one is really dark and gritty. You put on the VR headset, nothing but silliness.
Yeah, it's just that little dwarf king man just running around,
just chasing him.
That's all you're doing,
yeah.
That's
the
all I
Benny
want.
Hill music playing as you just chase him around the rooms.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yes. No, it's all good. Resident Evil 4 Remake is set to launch on March 24 next year. So it's a little bit away still. Seems like an early announcement, I think, for a game like this, but I guess that implies it's going to have like kind of a long marketing cycle as one of their big releases.
Yeah. And we should expect to see more in I think June 13th, like American time, which I think is June 14th for us. Capcom announced it's going to do its own like Summer Games Fest kind of like little presentation, and it's going to have, well, I think Capcom was pretty upfront and said everything they're going to show is like extended looks at games that are already announced.
Oh,
so
really?
I presume this would be, like,
I saw that like a little while ago, and it's just like, oh, I really hope Dragon's Dogma 2 is announced, but apparently not. So
yeah.
Oh well.
Did that Deep Down game ever come out?
No.
Okay, because I vaguely remember that at like the PS4 kind of like announcement, like that time, as like being like a teaser for like what the new Capcom engine was going to be capable of. But I don't think anything ever came of that.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll see it in Dragon's Dogma. Hopefully, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, we'll see what Capcom's got stored
Mm.
for next week, I guess. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have a lot to talk about next week. Yeah, so after that was 4 like short trailers for PlayStation VR 2 titles. So first is PlayStation Evil Village or PlayStation. What am I saying? Resident Evil Village, Resident Evil Village, or Resident Evil Village or Resident Evil 8.
It's just where
however you
Jim
want to say
Ryan
it.
hangs out.
Sounds about right.
Him and
I was
his
thinking a
cats.
bunch of it's exactly Resident Evil Village, but Astrobot is coming after you.
I'm just picturing it's just Jim Ryan is just that little sailor looking king kid from Resident Evil 4 running Sony.
It's very easy to project his face onto that model, I think.
Someone has to make that. Oh my god. I can just picture that type of character writing that email, talking about his cats, and then going into like, you know, the abortion rights. It's a matter of opinion. And then cackling.
I gotta stop inviting these tangents.
Sorry, so sorry. Damn it, Kai. What have you done?
My presence.
So sorry, John. Please continue, please.
Okay, I'll go faster. So Resident Evil Village is coming to VR2. It will, quote, bring this story campaign in its entirety to be playable in VR. So assumably that's exactly same like kind of approach that Resident Evil 7 got, like a full game mode with nothing really left out.
Yeah.
So after that was the announcement of The Walking Dead, Saints and Sinners - Chapter 2, Retribution. Full title. It's already been announced early in the year. It's like first Saints and Sinners.
Bloody announce it.
Yeah. So the first Saints and Sinners came out like a couple of years ago or so. Got very good reviews as a VR title. First one's been announced for a few months, I'm pretty sure. This one's being announced for PSVR and PSVR 2, so PS4 and PS5. PS4 version will launch later this year. PS5 version will launch next year sometime, assumably with the VR hardware.
Yeah, with the new VR 2.
No Man's Sky will be supporting PSVR 2. The original PS4 version received an update for the first PSVR. I'm sick of saying these words already. PSVR support in 2019, but Hello Games, the developer, says it will leverage the improved hardware to, quote, take that sense of immersion and believability up by several major notches. So, yeah, kind of what you expect with that announcement, but yep. Lastly, a full-featured trailer for the Horizon spin-off, Horizon Call of the Mountain, made by Guerrilla Games and Firesprite, which I think PlayStation purchased last year or something like that. They're quite a recent acquisition. It kind of outlines the story premise, which honestly sounds the same as the last 2 games. You know, machines are turning evil. We need to figure it out. But it kind of highlights climbing and archery as its main VR-specific gameplay mechanics. So so first game, previous game was just like sitting in a canoe. And then it's over. It's a very, very quick teaser. So yeah, first good look at the game. After that was the announcement of a major a major update for Horizon Forbidden West from earlier this year. So includes a few quality of life features like an improved performance mode, transmog, like kind of being able to like, you know, customize your armor to however you want it and respec your skill points into wherever you want, rather than having to restart the game, I guess, is where it was at before. As well as a new Game Plus mode and a new ultra hard difficulty mode. So yeah, that came out when this stream happened. So it's been out for a few days now. After that, I don't try to go through this fast. Marvel Spider-Man games from Insomniac, they're both coming to PC later this year. So Spider-Man Remastered, which is specifically a PS5 version, as I understand it. So this is the one that added ray tracing support, DualSense features, and updated the character model of Peter Parker just because the old model wasn't applicable with like current gen technology anymore.
No.
Whatever the reason was.
Yeah, let's be
Was
honest.
something
It
like
wasn't
that.
Tom Holland enough. Let's
Yeah.
because
Maybe,
I'm
yeah.
pretty sure that the newer guy looks a lot more like Tom Holland than the original actor.
Yeah, that's
Hmm.
well.
Closer, but not close enough to get sued.
Yeah, it's Tom Holland.
Yeah, so Spider-Man Remaster will be releasing on August 12th on PC. The PC port of Miles Morales, the sort of pseudo side quill thing, that's launching soon afterwards, sometime in spring this year. So that's around the same time. After that was the announcement, a new trailer for Stray, the kind of sci-fi, cyberpunky looking action adventure thing where you play a cat with robotic stuff on its back.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
A
hard
little,
to
it
describe
looks like a
aside
little
from
robot
that.
buddy.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. It's very
yeah, so-
eerie. It's a very eerie
Yeah.
atmosphere.
So Stray has a release date, which I don't think it had earlier. Release date of July 19, so coming up pretty soon, as well as the announcement that Stray will be debuting as a day one release on the higher tiers of PlayStation Plus. That's launching in Australia on June 22.
Yeah.
So this is PlayStation Plus Extra and PlayStation Plus Deluxe
Yeah.
or Premium in countries that have actual streaming support that we don't. So I'm not sure how. I'm kind of curious how many more of those kind of games we're getting. You know, because like Game Pass has that's been a big part of the service for a little while now. And it's just like, oh yeah, I've kind of forgot PlayStation could do that as well.
Yeah. Well, now it will, and it's got and just with Stray, it'll come to PC at the same time.
Right.
Yeah. So if you don't have a PlayStation console, you can still get your your cat, your feline fix, so to speak, if you want to.
Yeah.
That's the game I need a VR mode for.
First person
actually.
cat mode.
I love that. But
Oh wow, you have to get on your hands and knees, and you have to like walk on a treadmill and just walk around.
If it can give me the contentedness I see in a cat lying in a patch of sun, I will do whatever it takes.
That's next year's like state of play. And no,
it's like the killer app that PSVR 2 needs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Happiness.
Following that was the first gameplay reveal for the Callisto Protocol, the new action horror game from Dead Space creator Glenn Schofield. It's kind of not very subtly positioned as like a Dead Space successor, and that was before the Dead Space remake was announced and revealed as well. So that Callisto Protocol is due out on December 2nd, and it's a cross-gen game, so PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series consoles, and PC. Yeah, so again, December. After that was the announcement of Rollerdrome from the makers of the Ollie series, Roll 7. So they actually like Ollie World just came out. So this is it's coming out very soon afterwards. From my impressions of the trailer, it kind of looks like Tony Hawk Pro Skater with Max Payne combined. Like that's my impression from it. I'm kind of hoping that's kind of close to what it is.
And with like a cell shaded kind of art style, it looks reminds me of like the Jet Set games from like the Dreamcast and the original Xbox.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I have thoughts on Jet Set, but continue, John. No tensions.
So Rollerdrome is launching on August 16 on PS5, PS4, and PC, launching on Steam specifically. After that was the announcement of Eternites, kind of out of nowhere, I think, compared to a lot of these games. From Studio Psy, it is a, quote, dating action game, which I think is a good way to describe what the trailer presents.
Yeah.
So dating sim plus kind of character action-y action game.
Yeah.
And
it's
I think get too much else from it.
Yeah, it's like a third person action game where like the main character, he's like, typical kind of like what is it? Shonen, like, kind of teenage schoolboy. He's missing part of his right arm, but the part that's missing is replaced with like some mystical hand, so he can punch, like do really crazy moves and stuff. I didn't realize it was a dating game until like the second half of the trailer, where it did the whole thing where it's like first person and the girl's looking at you and like. And then it says, and then there was the commentary saying like, action meets dating sim in it, and I'm like, oh wow.
They're still trying to hide it. I think.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I think that makes it a little better.
Yeah, which I think is
Not
yeah.
it's bad innately or anything, but I think it's like it does like it is kind of startling where it's like, oh, action game, and then it's like it suddenly gets like very openly into dating sim territory. And it's like, oh, okay, what's this?
At least they're making that upfront. You need to buy your action game, and suddenly it's like, oh.
And I'm pretty sure one of the girls says, "Don't you believe in science?" or something really corny, because she's like meant to be the like the nerdy girl.
Yeah, I think I remember that actually.
I was like, what?
A lot of stereotypes.
He has a magic hand, doesn't he?
In a dating game, I wonder what that could mean. Anyway.
Okay, so after that was Street Fighter 6. Yeah, so do you want to talk about this, Abir, or should I cover it?
I'll just quickly cover it here. Just like the basics that came from this particular trailer, and which is playing in the background at the moment for folks who are watching the video. It's it's confirmed. This is gameplay, so we saw like fights between Luke and Jamie. Jamie being one of the new characters introduced in this game. He's kind of like, apparently he's a fan of Yin and Yang from like the final fight. I think from the final fight and like the previous Street Fighter game. So he's like a Hong Kong peacekeeper, whatever that means. But he's got the top of hair where it's like it's kind of like you see in like traditional Japanese media, where it's like a high ponytail and it's like going up in the air, and then he's got like the like kind of, I'm not sure, like the clothes you would have seen in like people who like maybe wore in China, like, you know, like traditional Chinese wear, like, but ripped open obviously because it's Street Fighter. And he's got a mix of like drunken martial arts kung fu mixed with like capoeira or like dancing, because apparently he's a dancer as well. So he's got he think of like Eddie Gordo and Lei Wulong from Tekken, but like in one. It's a very weird thing, and apparently as you drink, you get new abilities in the game, like as you fight, which is a very like it's something the series has done before with like characters like Hakan, where the more he rubs baby oil on his body, he can like wrestle better. You know, things, you know, Street Fighter things, right? Like things you see in the street. And the trailer seemingly confirms the game's like hip hop soundtrack. And there's like, even the official website talks all about street and like being true to the street, and there's like graffiti all over. There's like splashes of like spray paint whenever you do big moves and stuff. It looks really cool. And it also, I guess, teased the open world light, I'm using quote, single player mode. It's kind of like, think of PlayStation Home or Second Life, or even like Fortnite, I guess, is like the modern kind of interpretation, as like that's like the menu system. You walk around, like the people you see around you could be like actual other players running around. It's like an interactive menu system. It's something that I think the Virtual Fighter games and stuff have done before. And
Well,
sorry.
Yeah, like Capcom have like described it as quote a single player immersive story mode. So it seems like it will have like more to it than like, you know, it sounds like there's like ambition behind it.
Yeah.
From the way Capcom described it.
Exactly. And as part of that, there's something called the Battle Hub, which is basically like the online hub where you can fight other players. There's even like, if you see on the like some of the screenshots, you can actually see like on the left side there's something called the Game Center, where you can see stairs going up to like a whole bunch of arcade machines with old Street Fighter games. So it could be, I mean, it could just be like artwork. Like that's what like the newer Mortal Kombat games have done, is just kind of had the like arcade machines of the original kind of Mortal Kombat trilogy just as like assets in the background. But based on the way things are, where you're walking up to players and challenging them and stuff, there could be a potential that you could play classic Street Fighter arcade like game versions in the game and with other people. Like that would be a really, really cool thing if they do implement that. Obviously on the trailer that went as part of the state of play, PlayStation was confirmed, but if you look at like kind of the official announcement, the Street Fighter 6 is going to be a combination of PC, PS4, PS5, and Xbox Series, and it's coming next year. And according to Capcom, it's going to be crossplay as well. So it's really, really cool. I'll talk more a little bit. I'll talk more about kind of some of the details that have come out in the leaks in the news later on. But that's kind of like a quick summary for now.
All right, cool. Yeah, so I don't think there's a bit more. Okay. So after that was the announcement of Tunic coming to PS4 and PS5 in September. And it's kind of like, I don't know, I really want to play it. I haven't heard too much about it. As I understand it, it's kind of like classic Zelda crossed with Fez. Kind of got its own like sort of game language.
That makes
a lot
sense.
of puzzles, very like, a depth to puzzles in the same way Fez does. Yeah. And yeah.
You basically,
I'm excited to play it.
Like I think the world, like you're playing as like a fox in like a green tunic, like what Link has, and it has like the isometric view of like some of the 3DS Zeldas and the and Fez. So it's a very cool thing. It got a lot of buzz earlier this year when it came out on the Xbox and PC. So it's cool to see it come into PlayStation.
I'm baffled that it's not coming to Switch because it seems like such a natural fit for it. But maybe one day, maybe not.
Maybe.
After that was the reappearance of Season, A Letter to the Future. So this game was first announced back at Game Awards 2020, so it's been a while.
Wow.
Immediately after it was announced, there was reports of abusive management at the company, at the studio, Scavenger Studio, in which games industry .biz reported accusations of the studio's quote toxic work environments, and that includes sexual harassment and sexist conduct and all that.
I remember us talking about this because I think the publisher is Annapurna, and apparently they didn't do much.
Yeah, right. I think it was.
It was like one of the lists, one of the things in the expose. Yeah.
Okay, because I think this happened like earlier as well. So like this expose, and that must have been some sort of follow up because I remember that. Yeah. Anyway, the game looks otherwise. Aside from that, the game looks really nice, which is kind of heartbreaking. I apparently like a lot of the management has been. I think since that happened, the management has been like largely cleaned up. I think at least from the way it's been kind of publicized, which we can only know so much.
Yeah.
So Season, A Letter to the Future is slated to launch in spring later this year for PS5, PS4, and PC. So launching on both Steam and Epic Game Store. And lastly, the new trailer for Final Fantasy XVI announcing a mid-2023 release date, introduced by producer Naoki Shooter. Naoki. Damn, I gotta pronounce this stuff before we record. So it kind of details a bit more on the game's story, better look at the gameplay with the actual UI in place, which I from what I remember, that wasn't the case before. And so it's just new details for people who are really following along. As someone who isn't really following along too closely, I kind of got a better sense of the story from what I remember last time, but not as strong. Yeah.
It's very classic Final Fantasy. It's more Final Fantasy 13 and 12 than Final Fantasy 15 in terms of it doesn't have like that. Like Final Fantasy 15 still had a lot of the class, kind of like the Middle Ages, like post Middle Ages, very clean version of medieval fantasy that like a lot of Japanese anime and fantasy kind of manga and games kind of take place in, but without the futuristic, like without like a car and like things like mobile phones and stuff that we saw in Final Fantasy 15. So it'd be interesting to see. Like this looks like a very Final Fantasy Final Fantasy if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, and it seems like the summons are called, like the summons, which are basically like I guess like gods you could call down to assist you in battle. Apparently they're called dominants, or the race of gods in this world are called dominants, and I guess some people have the ability to control or to work with them. I don't know. It's
my impression of it was like there's like a handful of like champions for those like godlike things, and they're like that's how they play into like the politics of the story. That was my impression of it. I'm not sure if that's accurate.
Yeah.
But
interesting. It'd be I don't know. I think I'm just like kind of over this art style where it's like it's maybe I'll put it this way, like I don't mind the look so much as the fact that the desaturated colors and like the very kind of like mid-tones throughout the whole thing. I wish it was a lot more colorful and vibrant. Who knows, maybe by the time the final game ships, like they'll change it up, but I feel like this looked very like flat as like a trailer.
It's supposed to be a fantasy, right? That's some color.
Yeah, right. Especially when you got like, gods and demons and magic and all these special effects and everything happening.
Have some fun with it. If I was a god, pastel everything.
Just Okami everything.
Does 15 count as fun? Or
yes. I haven't played it, so I wouldn't be able to tell you, but seeing all the numbers bouncing off enemies and stuff has really got me kind of like intrigued about playing this. So maybe I don't know if I'm gonna go back and play 15, because like I'm weird where I've only played like 2 JRPGs. One of them is Chrono Trigger and one of them is Final Fantasy 13. You know the 2 pillars of Japanese gaming. That's a joke on Final Fantasy's part, by the way. But so it'll be interesting to see how this is, because like as I remember, like Final Fantasy 13 is a very long game, and apparently the good bits of the game take like 30 hours to come up. And
you mean 15 or 13?
13. Sorry, 13.
Oh, you did make 13. Okay. But it's anyway, that kind of wraps up the state of play for this year, I guess, or this season, I suppose. And
Cool. Thanks, John.
Well, what did you?
I feel enlightened.
What did you think about the overall presentation, Kai? Like anything stand out?
Look, Tunic stood out to me. You all know I love my indie games. Honestly, nothing else really grabbed me, and part of that's just personally, I've gone away from some of the big PlayStation series. They're just not scratching that itch for me anymore. But I am excited by Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
Honestly, if only for the merchant. I just want to hear him call me stranger again. Hello, stranger. Got something that might interest you.
This is actually like maybe the most like curious part of it. I was like, oh, how are they going to do the merchant?
4K. You can see like the pores on his nose or whatever. Because I always like the funny thing was, I think it's something that I think it was good that it was never addressed. Is like, how the hell is he just hanging around while all this chaos is around him and no one just seems to bother him?
Yeah. Well, I think the thing about it is it's like he's technically killable in the game.
He is, yeah.
But he does seem to but he can teleport throughout the world. So it's like there is some sort of logic to what he's doing.
I guess maybe he's teleporting away from all the obviously evil ones, and he just doesn't expect it coming from Leon.
Maybe.
That's what gets me is by the end of the game, you've forked out thousands to this dude.
Yeah.
And he's still calling you stranger. Like, come on, man. My name is Leon.
That's right. He never really changes that, does he? Even no matter how deep into the game you are.
Well, does Leon even talk to him though? Maybe it's his fault.
What if they're all just like different they all represent the same person, but they're actually they're all different merchants in each spot.
Like a very big family.
Yeah. Hello, stranger. Hi, you're Mr. Merchant. No, that's my brother. Please.
Like when you meet someone you didn't know was a twin, and it turns out
it's like that. Yeah.
Like, no, we've met before, and they have no clue who you are.
You're just like, and they just keep asking you what you're buying, and you don't know why they keep asking you that. It's like, why are you opening your trench coat? I don't want to buy anything.
Yeah, that's my first question when someone opens a trench coat. I don't want to buy anything. Yeah.
No, I haven't thought about that because he never says he's selling anything. He's got something that might interest you.
Yeah, I mean, he says like, "What are you buying?"
Like,
and or what are you selling? He never says what he's like really doing.
Very suggestive.
Yeah.
It is shocking that Leon has never pulled a weapon on the merchant. It's so creepy.
Yeah, because he just kind of like just floats there, and like the Zer character in the Destiny series, who's kind of like the merchant who comes every weekend and sometimes has special items every week. He's kind of based. He kind of like stands in a similar thing, and he's in a cloak, and he like teleports from place to place. So he's kind of like maybe some sort of homage to the stranger character, but just never.
The sci-fi cousin of the merchant family.
Yeah. We don't talk about him. We don't talk about Bruno.
I will say as well, I'm pretty into Rollerdrome. I really want to play that one. I hope it's good. Like it's I mean, only like Roll 7's made very good games, so I hope it should be good. But you know,
is this
that made an impression on me.
Is this the path to the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, like pseudo like spiritual successor that they've always wanted to make, but they couldn't like make it a skateboarding game just yet. They just had to test it with this to see if the engine works and if there's a market for it. And then the next game's going to be like their magnum opus, the Tony Hawk's, Ollie Ollie universe or whatever it'll be called.
Yeah, maybe. I guess I could see that. Yeah, curious. It's like it does seem like they made a bunch of 2D-ish, mostly 2D, like skating games, and then they jump over to Rollerdrome, which it feels like the hardest thing they were able to pull off there was the shooting mechanics.
Yeah.
Not so much the skating, rollerblading part. I mean, maybe I obviously have no idea, but it's just.
Wait, you don't go shooting when you don't go to the shooting range on your rollerblades? You don't play paintball with your rollerblades? Must be a Melbourne thing.
Yeah, Melbourne thing. We don't do that down here in Perth, but anyway, yeah. No, you could be totally on them. Yeah, you could be totally right about that though. It's like don't know where they really heading as a developer.
Speculating. Next minute, one person in like Roll 7 copyright strikes us so that the secret doesn't get out. The leak doesn't get out. We'll be silenced.
There you go, shooting in Melbourne.
Yeah. Paintball. We're talking about paintball, folks. Paintball and rollerblading.
I'm a guest on the show.
Your opinions
no
are
legal liability.
Yep. Well, let's move on to the next, I guess, like follow-on piece of news, which is some more details emerging about Street Fighter 6. So as I mentioned before, Street Fighter 6 is going to be like a move away from Unreal Engine and going to be based on Capcom's own RE engine, which I think has been very well reviewed and very well regarded. With all the remakes, all the Resident Evil remakes over the past few years now, actually. I think eventually we're going to get to a point like the remakes are going to catch up to the main games. What's going to happen then? The Resident Evil 7 remake in 2027.
Well, they remake 1 again, probably.
Yeah, that'll be the re-remake.
Yeah.
It's like now your grandpa, your dad, and you can play your own version of Resident Evil 1.
None of them will be as good as Resident Evil 2.
Yeah. Which one, though? The remake or the original?
Any.
I think it's like, Granddad's talking about not having analog sticks again. This just to follow on from the previous news around Street Fighter, we've had some official news be confirmed. So Capcom, I guess, updated the official Street Fighter 6 website with some news, with some details about it. One of the things is the fact that there's a new system called the Drive Gauge, which replaces the V trigger from Street Fighter 5, and the focus attack from Street Fighter 4. Essentially, those mechanics let you press like a couple extra buttons to, how should I put it, to engage, like to modify some of the moves you already had, or put your character in a different state, so you can kind of get out of like, you know, attacks and things like that as well. So this means that each character will be able to use part of this kind of meter to do special moves or to parry, which is also coming back. Parrying, I guess for folks who aren't familiar, is when an attack is coming towards you. It's kind of like you kind of hit it away from you. Like, say someone's going to punch you, you kind of like knock their hand away, and then you can deliver your own strike. So that's something that was in Street Fighter 3 as a like a mechanic. However, the only animations and stuff you had was like when you made a successful move. So there was no kind of like whiff or misses. Like, there was nothing really for that. But in this game there is. So there's going to be a bit more reward for skill, you know, especially if you're on the defensive. Another thing that's happening for Street Fighter 6 is the introduction or reintroduction of like an easier, like simplified control scheme. So folks who might be familiar with Street Fighter as it is, they're probably used to hearing things like, a fireball is quarter circle forward with a punch, or half circle back with a kick. Basically, that's like, you know, that's represented the joystick or the analog stick movements you'd make, or the D-pad motions you'd make compared like in conjunction with a button. Now it's simplified to, like, you know, you can do a fireball with just forward and triangle, for example, or things like that. Obviously, you won't have access to the full moves list, so it's like it's a good way to kind of get into fighting games, so that the barrier to entry is less about the physical ability to make moves, and more so on the mental aspect of what moves to do when, and, you know, thinking about what my character, or what the other character's doing, what the opponent's doing, and kind of getting more into the mind games, the tactics of that, rather than just like trying to get a fireball out, which, as we know, like, is never fun when you can't even get the basics down. It's just, you never get to have those fun moments. So this is like a great way for new players, or even players who've been playing it for a while, but just want something like easy to get back into it, to, I guess, get to do cool moves and not have to worry about remembering like ridiculous combos and things like that. So I'm not
Sounds
sure.
like a good thing for accessibility as well.
100%.
People who might physically be incapable of doing some of those.
Yeah.
Stupidly convoluted combos.
Yeah, and there've always been things like since Street Fighter 4 and Street Fighter 5, you could have things where it's like, okay, so if a move requires all 3 kicks, you know, that's like 3 buttons you have to hold down, which may be very difficult for someone to do if they, you know, may have some sort of injury, or, you know, some sort of disability or something like that affects them. But they've had the ability where you can just program like all 3 button presses into one button on the controller of your choice. But now this is taking it a step further and making normal moves accessible as well. This is something that I guess Capcom tried in the late 90s with the EX series, I think it was, or EO series, the Easy Operation. But like, fans being fans, like, poo-pooed it, and like Capcom just kind of abandoned it not long after that. So this is cool to see it kind of come back, and I think it'll be great. It'll be a great way for new people to kind of get into the Street Fighter, and then as they progress and they want to unlock more moves, they'll probably switch over to like the quote unquote classic control style is what they're calling it. Another thing that's been confirmed is that Street Fighter 6 takes place. It takes place after Street Fighter 3. So the Street Fighter series has a very like Fast and Furious style convoluted timeline where, like, technically Street Fighter 4 and 5 and a lot of the other games take place between 2 and 3. So like in this one, like, Ryu's defeated, like, he's kind of got rid of the demons that were plaguing him and forcing him to become evil, but he's like still looking to become the best fighter in the world, like, because that's what else can you do. He's got like Buddhist monk robes, which is kind of like I guess like an homage to Goken, which is like the master who trained him and Ken, his best mate. There were rumors of there's another rumor of Ken being a washed up fighter whose wife has left him and taken his child. Because
apparently that was like
debunked.
somewhat debunked.
Yeah.
But he still looks pretty sad. So
like he looks raggedy, and I think that's just what someone like came up with that fan fiction for him, and like he was always so dedicated to.
Yeah, someone noticed how like he has like his roots showing on his hair, which means he's stopped like dyeing his hair.
Oh my god!
Which is such a like curious, like it's very compelling, I think, from the outside.
Like such a fan thing to do, to notice someone's roots and be like his wife must have left him.
Of course.
Taking the child.
And like people like sympathizing with like, oh, you know, he's lost everything. He's dedicated his whole life to being to keeping up with Ryu and beating him, and now it's come to a point where his wife has left him and taken their child together. And this is something that I didn't realize, but apparently Ken's wife is Guile's sister.
Oh.
Apparently.
Oh.
I didn't know this, which is weird. And apparently there's, anyway. And also as part of this, he's lost his claim to the master's fortune because his family comes from old money. So I don't know. Anyway. Oh, like Ken is my favorite character in the series, so I'll be choosing him regardless. If anything, this will be a redemption story like the wrestler. He's gonna fight his way back up to prominence. And we've had I guess pretty much a full roster leak. Like there are quite a few characters here that have leaked. So I'll go in alphabetical order. So there's someone named AKI or Aki, who's apparently like a humanoid, like a robot / android from China. Akuma, who, you know, kind of like the villain of the series that has been around for a long time. So he's also one of the leaked characters that apparently is going to be playable. Blanca coming back after being absent in Street Fighter V. Cammy is returning as well. Chun-Li, who we saw in the original announce in the trailer during the State of Play. DJ, who's like kind of the Jamaican fighter who had he had like Maximum on his pants on when he debuted. Like it's because Maximum, whether it's front or backwards, read the same. So I think it was probably like an easy word to put on like his like pants and his character sprite in the 90s. So it kind of makes sense. Dalzim is returning. E Honda's returning. Ed, who I think was new from Street Fighter V, is returning. Guile is returning. There's a new character called JP, who looks like a very... I don't know, he looks like a count he's like a Russian oligarch, which, you know, as we all know, is so in vogue right now.
Like a play on JP Morgan?
It could be. Or, I don't know, journalistic privilege, which I think is absent in Russia. I don't know. But maybe it's just a stand-in for Roman Abramovich, who, after losing all his assets, has been forced to fight on the streets to win them back. Who knows? And then Jamie, who is the new character from Hong Kong, who was shown in the trailer in the State of Play as well. Juri, the kickboxer from South Korea, she's returning. And she's a South Korean Taekwondo expert who wears an eye patch and is just like stupidly like obsessed with like fighting. And then Ken is back. Kimberly's a new fighter. She's like from the US. She's like I don't know how to describe her. I think she's like a brawler or like a boxer. No, I think she's more like a boxer from like I think New York. And then we've got Lily, who we don't have too much on. I think she's from Mexico, and she's got like kind of looks like she's got these clubs that look like some of like the billy clubs that were used during like kind of the Mayan or the Aztec, kind of like some of the stuff that is like depicted back when, you know, Spain invaded. Luke returning from Street Fighter V. He's kind of like one of the hero characters in the trailer. Marissa is a new fighter. She's like a very I don't know how to put it. She's like, imagine Lady Dimitrescu from Resident Evil Village. So someone of that height, but a kickboxer from Italy with red hair. You know, it's like Sagat. Sagat, but a lady from Italy. Maybe you could think of it that way. Let's see. Mimi is also a new character. She's from France, but her name could also be Maman, which apparently is also a common name in France. Yeah. I'm not sure of her fighting style in particular, but I guess we'll find out very soon. And then we've got Rashid, who's returning from Street Fighter V. Ryu, as we all know, Hot Dad Ryu is returning, and Zangief, who somehow has gotten even taller and wider, is also making his return as well. So we've got quite a packed roster. I guess the crazy thing is that this looks like it was like a year plus of planned content and reveals. So you kind of feel bad for the PR team if they've had a lot of things. Like fighting games kind of live and die by like the characters and stuff that get announced, because there's not much else you can really add to them to draw in hype. So I kind of I'm excited to see all these names in there, but I'm also kind of just kind of bummed out for the team. But you know what? It's part of being in an online world. It's going to happen.
I think it's actually kind of nice that it's just artwork, because it's not it's not like a full expose for every character or anything.
Yeah.
It's it feels like more like a teaser in a way. I get that it's not what they wanted, but it's just
but it does give the team something to still announce and reveal and keep people engaged.
And the thing is and Capcom came out, both Capcom and the game's producer kind of came out and said, hey, we I think it said something like Citizens of Metro City, which is kind of where the Final Fight characters and where the Street Fighter universe's version of New York is. They're us Metro City citizens have seen things we shouldn't have seen, but we'll get through this together. Thank you for your positive response and stuff like that. So I'm just glad that compared to Street Fighter V, which has just got shat on for pretty much its entire existence, Street Fighter VI looks like it's getting met with a lot more positivity. I mean, it's a shame that we have to even talk about how toxic and stuff people can be, but I'm just happy that people are happy about this game and not being toxic, which I wish I could say for more games. But yeah, that's gonna do it for the Street Fighter VI. I guess bit of the show. How about we move over to BioWare? John, tell us what's happening at BioWare.
Yes, a couple of bits of news, I guess. I don't know how else to describe it. So first is the announcement of Dragon Age 4. Its official title being Dragon Age Dreadwolf. They've already kind of semi-confirmed it a few years ago, but through this title and through the blog itself where it was announced, they've kind of confirmed that the next Dragon Age will be directly following up on the character of Solus. He was I haven't played it. I'm probably going to get something wrong, but he was a companion character in Dragon Age Inquisition, the previous Dragon Age game. He's eventually revealed as something called the Dreadwolf, which is sort of, I guess it's sort of a cultural figure of myth, sort of, where it's the Dreadwolf is meant to be the elven god of betrayal and rebellion in the world of the game, but he's sort of he's building on that myth more than he is a literal god.
Yeah,
that's my understanding of him. In the Trespasser DLC for Inquisition, his backstory was kind of the focus of it. It ended on a cliffhanger where Solus had begun to draw followers to his side as an elven figurehead. I think that's reading up on it. That's my impression of where that ended. So basically it's Dreadwolf seems to be directly following up on Trespasser, basically. which they kind of
That's
hinted
kinda
at
cool.
already in 2018. They had like this 1-minute teaser trailer with like that ended with like the hashtag the Dreadwolf rises. So they already kind of, we already knew that's where they were going. But I guess it's kind of nice to have confirmation for those invested in this world.
Yeah, like that was like 4 years ago. That's almost 4 years ago, because I think that was a Game Awards announcement or like a Game Awards trailer reveal. And like I've like Dragon Age Inquisition is on my pile of shame of a game that I didn't finish. So like Solus
Isn't it incredibly long? I got the impression it was incredibly long.
Oh yeah, it is very like. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is a very long game. Like I've got plenty of hours on it, but I just never finished it. Like it's like Mass Effect. Like there's just so much to do and so many side quests and everything. It's one of those games where like I tried to get back into it a couple of years ago, and then I just like, because I'd been so deep into the game, you at some point you gotta like know how to manage your abilities and everything, because like everything's on a cooldown and you got all your characters going on and stuff. And I just like, oh shit, I feel like a douche. I don't have no idea what I'm doing. Let's see. Yeah, like I've played 59 hours and I still haven't finished the main game. I'm still probably like maybe halfway through or something. And because like the novel thing, I don't know if I'd call it novel anymore, but the thing with Dragon Age Inquisition was that while you're doing your story missions and stuff, there's like, you kind of stand at a war table, and every time you finish like a main mission and come back, what you do is you can send like different characters on errands, like to go to like, oh hey, this kingdom has offered this agreement or something. Would you like to send an emissary to speak to them? And like the person you send there can't be in your team for like upcoming battles and things like that. So it's kind of like there was always things like that, but it's a cool thing on paper, but it was like kind of like, okay, well, this person's not available, and this mission's going to take a certain amount of real time hours to do, like check back in 30 hours or something. And I was just like, okay, well, if I can't imagine being like a parent and you've got like a short amount of time to play every week, and you'd be like, oh well, I guess I can't progress on this or that. And yeah, like I never quite, I haven't got to the DLC, so like in as far as I'm concerned, Solus is still like the nerdy, sciencey elf in the party who, he's like a bit of a loner, but like knowing all the stuff that happens afterwards, like it seems like it could be very much on purpose that he was very distant and and despondent.
Yeah. Speaking of pile of shame, I played Yakuza Zero for like 40 hours and then got right to the end and didn't finish it.
Oh, really?
I supposed to go back. Do you guys have anything else like that? I'm kind of curious about it.
Most of the games I start playing, I finish.
Stand back.
I just get really into them.
What is time?
Disco Elysium.
Gotcha.
I've been halfway through Disco Elysium for many months.
Right. Yeah. I just bought that, so I feel like that's like definitely what's going to happen to me.
That's going to be my motivation to get back into it, finish it.
Maybe you guys can do a check-in. Yeah, you guys do a check-in. Yeah. John, when you get to halfway through the game, and then you guys can take it from there.
I'll deliberately drop it.
Yeah, like for me, Mass Effect 3, I still haven't finished that.
You play the first two?
Yeah, I love them, and I pre-ordered 2. I have all the DLC and everything. I just never finished it, because I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. But the thing is, like, that never got updated to 4. Like, if you play it on a 4K screen, the text is so small that it's like very unplayable. But I'm sure there's mods and stuff for it now. But I also, my pile of shame is GTA San Andreas on PC. I literally got all the way to the end, like to the last mission, and I just couldn't beat it. And then, like, I think I restarted my computer or whatever, and I lost. This is before like cloud saves and everything, so it was just kind of like, well, there goes my game. And yeah, it was like the absolute last mission, which I gotta go watch a cutscene now on YouTube.
This is why I leave my pile of shame as totally unplayed. I have
plenty of those.
Yeah.
I have a Switch that I haven't yet to finish a game on. I'm now packing it in my work bag so I take it with me, but I just never get to play it. And I got Switch Online so that I could play Super Mario World and all the Super Nintendo games. But I'm like, now it's like, but when?
Reality.
Yeah,
Exactly.
But yeah, continuing the BioWare news. What else has been happening in the land of wolves, dreaded wolves?
Yes.
Canada.
The quality assurance workers at Keyword Studios Edmonton. They're a support studio for Dragon Age or for BioWare in Canada. So they have voted unanimously in favor of a union. That means all 16 eligible QA workers voted yes to form a union on Monday. And Keyword Studios, because the Keyword Studios is like a kind of a broader set of studios. There's they have more than 20 offices worldwide. They don't actually publish or develop their own games. They're purely a support network for games. So, and Edmonton, Canada, this specific office is specifically supporting BioWare as well as a number of other companies. So, Keyword Studios have actually accepted the vote of the staff to unionize, which is not something we've been able to say last 1 or 2 times it's happened in the last few weeks, which is nice to see. So, so quote, as an organization, we want to ensure an engaging experience for all of our employees, and we take any concerns that our staff have seriously. So, and the representative for the union said that the bargaining between the union and the company will begin sometime this week. Oh, cat interference.
Yeah,
this is a very curious story.
One of my cats has jumped on. She's like, Q&A. She's like, unions. This is interesting news for the gaming world.
I have some words on this.
Yeah, she's like, I think me and my brother are going to unionize because you're not feeding us enough. See, she's left. She's offended.
She's with the management. She's down.
She's like, she's accusing me of union busting by putting her on the floor.
She's staging a walkout.
Yeah, she's staging a walkout.
So to summarize quickly. So the QA workers started talking about a union in March. This was when the studio implemented a return to office order that meant that the commute would end up costing these QA workers hundreds of more dollars in extra expenses. Frustrated by the pay and the rising costs, they decide to unionize. And if they're hit by COVID because of the way their contracts work, it means that developing any COVID symptoms will mean having to take a personal day off rather than simply being able to work from home. So naturally, this grew momentum and became a union that actually happened, which is nice to see. Again, it really does seem to be snowballing. Yeah, it's all of a sudden. It's like, oh, again, so soon.
I mean, before Elon Musk, made it cool, these guys were asking people to come home, forcing people to get back to work, back in the office. Let's I'm really happy for this. This is really cool. I think the Raven Studios union formation, that was only a couple of weeks ago, so it's great to see I guess the momentum building and more people doing it. It's crazy how it's starting off in the QA space. It's maybe given the type of work that QA testers usually have to do, where the majority of them are usually on a contract basis, and probably not given the same benefits as people who are employed full time. It kind of makes sense, I guess, why it would start there.
It is very, very cool and sexy to see more unions.
Yeah,
it's very sexy.
Because
it is. Yeah, unionization is sexy.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, voice actors have a union, actual actors, whether they're from television or movies, and they come into video games, they're part of SAG or some other organization that represents them. But we don't have that in gaming. I know that's something that the visual effects industry has been, I guess, dealing with over the past, for as long as they've been around. 30 years plus is like a CGI thing. But now over the last 10 years, I think as more and more movies are like, I mean, just look at Marvel, like coming out with 4 or 5 like huge special effects laden like movies a year, plus TV shows. Think of the credits you see on the end of a Marvel film. Like there's like half the credits of people from, if not more, of names from like studios in India or like other countries. Like I always see like a Film Victoria or a Film New South Wales or a Film Queensland kind of credit for 3D effects work in a lot of Marvel films. So like it'll be great to see more unions kind of form to protect those workers' rights. I mean, obviously legislation can play a big part, and it should also be on the organizations themselves to do the right thing and not just do everything that's just specifically to the letter of the law. Like there should also be like kind of like an ethical, kind of moral, bottom line as well. But like I guess it's a great step.
You get good legislation by unionizing.
Well, let's hope so. I mean, it worked here. Yeah. It didn't seem to work that well in America, but I've no idea what their unions were doing over there.
I have comments that I will refrain from sharing.
Known right-wing capitalist pundit Kai Holroyd has thoughts on.
I am choosing peace. I want that acknowledged.
But yeah, that's I guess that's kind of the major news from that side of things. Over across the various oceans that'll lead us to there. Is there anything? I'm just trying to think. Like, I can't think of any other unions that have formed recently. I know there was talks about. I think it was the game. Is it United Game Workers? That was the thing in Australia that kind of launched last year, but we haven't really heard many headlines about them since then. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
There was the Activision Blizzard union that got shut down.
Yeah, but then that got reconfirmed. They got back up. Then it's official now. That one is Game Workers Alliance.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm trying to remember who it was, but I'm sure it'll come to me later, inevitably after we stop recording. But yeah, the next story, Kai. This one's about the Summer Games Fest that's going on right now. What's happening?
The Summer Games Fest that Abir officially opened at the start of this show. So Jeff Keighley.
Exactly. It's
essentially just.
We weren't allowed to say anything. It's just it's just one of those things where like Jeff and I, like when we got off the call, like you guys remember you had your call with him last week. Yeah, I wish.
known puppet of Abir, Jeff Keighley, has come out to sort of temper everyone's expectations of Summer Games Fest, warning viewers that the big major reveals that essentially trademark these huge events aren't going to be happening, and it's going to be more information on stuff we already know is coming. So expecting more gameplay videos rather than the big spectacular reveals. He made a note of saying it will not be like the Game Awards, which is perhaps most known for being less about awards and more about the big announcements and videos, and occasionally Muppets in between announcing the actual awards. Which is...
I don't know if that's a commentary on the celebrities they shoehorn into the the award show, or the literal appearance of Muppets from like Sesame Street. No comment?
That's up to you to decide. You look within yourself.
You choose peace. Is that your choice again?
I am uncharacteristically peaceful today, it seems. But yeah, he did note some of the crazier rumors that have been going around of what's going to be announced at Summer Games Fest, as there always are. The hype train goes off the rails every time.
Yep.
And essentially said, "Buy beware." Don't
Yeah.
don't get super excited about seeing something new. It's going to be games we already know are coming.
Mm.
We're going to see more. That's going to include, a gameplay demo of the Callisto Protocol, which is exciting. A first level playthrough of COD Modern Warfare 2, which I would like to be
Speaking
excited
of
about.
remakes,
Yeah. New footage of Cuphead DLC, Delicious Last Course, which I feel like I've been hearing about for a long time.
I thought
is
it came
is
out.
it not out yet?
Yeah.
I thought it was out.
See, I'd be expecting a Cuphead 2, like
Yeah.
coming
Maybe
out
at the
now.
Game Awards we'll see Cuphead 2.
Maybe it'll be.
I feel like every
Um,
time Cuphead, like that DLC, kind of resurfaces, it's kind of to remind you it's not out yet. It's like because every time it's like months in between, and it's like, oh, right,
Yeah,
this
remember
exists.
this is coming?
Did Cuphead
Yeah.
ever come to Switch?
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
it did.
Well, that might be something to check out then.
Yeah.
In my
There's also going to
pile of
be
shame.
a
yeah, that's
quote,
on mine as well. I got through most of it and then stopped.
Oh, really? Yeah. Apparently,
Scrubs
it's
can't
very
even
difficult,
finish
so
Cuphead.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna not choose peace and lord my supremacy over you two.
Oh.
I have finished it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Get good, Scrubs. Anyway,
I was trying.
it's also going to be a reveal and some news around Gotham Knights, which is fun. I hope the
I'm
reveal is
almost
Batman
finished it,
because I know he's supposed to be canonically dead in the universe, but he's around.
Mhm.
Let's not pretend that Batman is dead.
Like
Yeah.
in a universe where anyone can be resurrected with these mysterious pits of like goo, like I don't think anything's really off the table.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah.
So that'll be streaming soon at, typically enough, 4 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, which I think is 2 or 3 a.m. for you, John.
Yes, yeah. I looked it up to like double check, and it's like, oh, okay, it's a nightmare.
It's
for
like a
both of us.
late night for you, but like a really early morning for us. I guess depending on how big your night was the night before.
Yeah. And then following that is Microsoft's own little state of play. Have they settled on a name for these yet?
It's just they just call them. I think it's officially the Xbox and Bethesda Games Showcase.
Right. That is far less fun than state of play.
Yeah.
Anyway, Xbox and Bethesda will be doing theirs on June 14th in UK time, which I'm not sure. I think is June 15th our time.
Yeah. If
Yeah,
we
'cause
say
we are-
June 6th, sorry, because on the 12th of June, kind of like American time is going to be the standard event, like the standard stream, and then the one on the 14th/15th for us is going to be the extended one. And I think that's going to be 10.5 hours. So that's going to be 4:30 our time, I think.
I'm going to clarify. The showcase does not go for
3:30.
10.5 hours.
No. I'm just
The
saying
showcase goes
the
for 90
difference
minutes.
between our time and UK time, because technically UK time is +1 UTC,
Yeah.
and we're plus 10:30 here in Melbourne. Or
Yeah.
No, we're plus we're plus 10.
We're plus 10.
So we're 9 hours ahead. So if it's 6:30, yeah, it'll be 3 a.m. for us, 1 a.m. for you, John. I'm pretty sure. For the extended version. Oh God.
Yeah, both of them at the same time.
Yeah. So
It's just 2 days.
either
apart,
way,
yeah.
yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
What's the point of the extended version? Why not just do your full showing on the first day? I don't understand this. Like limited
Maybe
edition.
for the parents and people who don't have much time. But it does feel like maybe they should have the extended version and then showcase abridged.
Yeah.
Here's what everyone really
Cut
responded
out all
to.
the Muppets.
Exactly. Cut out all the awards nonsense.
Yeah. Like what are we showcasing here? Like come on. Like back in the day, Xbox used to call their show XO. Like XO6 was like the 2006 show. XO8 was the 2008 show, but then they kind of like moved away from that. Yeah, exactly. Like why don't they call it like something else, like something, I don't know, like green screen or whatever, because it's like Team Green, and then there's like Xbox and Bethesda. I wonder how long before it's just Xbox, because like I don't know,
Yeah.
will Bethesda still be relevant if Starfield's like a pile of dog shit like Fallout 4 or Fallout 76? Who knows?
Which will outlast the other, Xbox or Bethesda? Does
But
Microsoft
It'll be
can the
Skyrim.
Xbox
Somehow
division?
Skyrim will just continue to be remade. There'll be an AI somewhere just programming new ports of it.
I think Bethesda is like currently melting into Xbox.
Yeah.
So I think it's like event. Yeah, Bethesda's definitely not
The
going to
event
win.
horizon. It's on the event horizon. It can't. It's getting absorbed into the black hole that is Phil Spencer. Phil Spencer's wallet or whatever.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, like, Microsoft owns both Obsidian Entertainment and Bethesda. So both the studios that have made Fallout and like kind of modern RPG, first person RPGs kind of relevant, are owned by Microsoft. But it seems like people have more respect for Obsidian Entertainment, especially because like Obsidian Entertainment also kind of made the sequel to KOTOR, and made Fallout New Vegas, and now it's making Avowed, which it made Starfield, which no, it didn't make Starfield.
It made the Outer Worlds.
The Outer Worlds, not Wilds, that's different ones. It made the Outer Worlds, which is Fallout in space, which is what Starfield looks like it's going to be. And it's also making Avowed, which is a first-person fantasy RPG, which looks like a better version of what Skyrim and, like Morrowind and Oblivion were. So it's kind of like melting into like one.
What? I
The
say
lines
it
are
as
blurring.
Xbox is the parent. Obsidian is the overachieving sibling.
Yes.
Bethesda is like trying to do what Obsidian is doing, but is just missing the mark.
Everyone's sick
Can't
of their shit.
compete. Yeah.
Yeah, because like if you like ask, like, it's like Obsidian seem to be more respected, or it's like, well, they make better games.
Yeah.
It's like that is kind of the best answer for it.
Yeah.
Bethesda is the
Yeah.
Danny Minogue. Never going to be Kylie, but you get to host a singing show.
Oh wow. That is yeah. That is deep. That cuts deep. Oh wow. Cuz I mean it makes sense, like Obsidian Entertainment I think came out of some of the people who did a lot of the work on like those like isometric action RPGs in the 90s, like Black and White and things like that.
Yeah.
Like I think they came out of the same vein as like where BioWare came from, but like they've definitely got the pedigree and they've got the chops. Like they made KOTOR 2 in less than a year, I think. Like it was like some ridiculous like rush job, and by all means, people really liked KOTOR 2, considering
Fallout New Vegas was similarly absolutely
limited
churned
resources,
out.
right? But people love that.
And it was less than a year from conception to release, and it is mind-bogglingly good.
Yeah. Especially the writing. Like I feel like that's what I always hear about New Vegas versus Fallout 3 was like the writing was way more better. And my family friend, who's like a huge he's played pretty much all the Elder Scrolls and stuff. He said, if you think of Fallout 3 as like a TV show, New Vegas was kind of like the movie version, where it kind of like took the best bits of it, but was a lot more respectful of your time.
Yeah, I feel like Obsidian has, I don't want to say the best, but one of the best writing teams in video games, at least.
Yeah, and like, didn't Obsidian also do? Like they did Outer Worlds, but I'm just trying to think of other things. Like, is Pillars
they
of
did the-
Eternity, right? That's
yeah,
them.
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
Because I think Avowed is set in that world as well.
Yeah.
Which is kind of neat.
By all means, those are very well regarded as well.
How they keep it straight.
I think also Baldur's Gate.
Because obviously they're going to have some of the same writers working on all these games.
Yeah.
How would you, as a writer, keep track of all these different universes?
Yeah.
when your job is to make them so intricate and have so many details in your head.
Mm. Yes, yes, that's right. So so I was right. So the like Obsidian Entertainment worked with Never like BioWare on Neverwinter Nights, Baldur's Gate, and Baldur's Gate 2. So there's definitely like some pedigree
Street
there.
cred.
Yeah, definitely. And also like, worked with Arcane Studios on Dark Messiah, Might and Magic, like of the like very classic game. Like, I forgot Alpha Protocol was
Wait,
one of theirs, right?
I played that like a year ago or something. I would not say that game had good writing though, like Dark
Oh,
Messiah.
I don't know what part of that they did. Yeah,
Yeah.
they kind of like worked with them, but I think so. Pools of Eternity 2. I'm pretty sure Baldur's Gate 3 is
Oh,
is going to be. I'm
No,
pretty
isn't
sure
that by
they're working-
Larian?
Is it?
Yeah, it's by
Or is
the
that Neverwinter
Divinity
Nights?
guys.
The new Neverwinter Nights is by them. Maybe. I could be completely wrong, but they're good. Obsidian is good.
anyway,
Obsidian is good.
Xbox
Obsidian is
Showcase.
cool. The Obsidian and
happening in
Xbox
everything.
Showcase featuring Bethesda is going to.
Actually, really would be cool to see Avowed. I actually hadn't thought about this
100%.
topic much, and
Yeah.
it's like, oh, that's right. I really do want to see that game.
It would be interesting.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Like, it's always fascinating, but like, yeah, I don't know. Like a
Well, look,
Bethesda
we can-
game without the jank would be cool.
We can keep our fingers crossed for some of our
Yeah.
other predictions.
Yeah.
Halo Infinite Season 2, Forza, and
Oh.
Redfall.
Yeah, Forza's going to be my thing because we haven't heard about like the motorsport version of Forza for like a few years now. So it'll be very, 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 very interesting to see how that goes. But yeah, that's the news for the Xbox and Bethesda showcase featuring Obsidian Entertainment, Ninja Theory, and pretty much every other studio that hasn't been bought by Embracer or or Tencent.
Not featuring Naughty Dog.
Yeah. So I guess the last piece of news comes from something that's very near and dear to my heart, and that's the announcement that Jeff Gerstman, notorious game journalist, game critic, pundit, whatever you call him, he was the person who was at the middle of the scandal around Kane and Lynch in 2007. The editor at GameSpot who was fired, and it kind of triggered a whole conversation around like the mix between the divide between editorial and advertising and marketing when it comes to like big publications, and essentially he and a fellow GameSpot alumnus Ryan Davis set up the website Giant Bomb in 2008, and then Vinny Caravella, Alex Navarro, and Brad Shoemaker, and Matt Rory, like people who maybe some of us had grown up watching or hearing their voices on GameSpot over the years, joined him not long after, and kind of it became one of the first websites that was personality driven. They were one of the first, like if not the first people to do Let's Plays and make that a thing, and do like full run throughs of games. Like one of the first series they did was a full run through of not Fallout 4, sorry, Persona 4, and
Oh yeah, that's right.
back in like 2008, 2009, like before YouTube was. Remember when YouTube only let you upload videos for 10 minutes, and not HD? Like we're talking, and they were like there before before Twitch, so they would stream to like Ustream and then Justin TV, and then Justin TV Gaming, and then Twitch, and for the longest time, Giant Bomb was actually run as a how should I put it? As a wiki of sorts as well. So it had like the main site plus the wiki, and Twitch for a fair chunk of its entire life pulled from that database for like game descriptions and like official artwork. So like Giant Bomb pretty much has been like a big part of like the games industry for like 14 years now, and it's crazy that Ryan Davis unfortunately passed away in 2013, and my cat who lives with my parents now, he's named after Ryan, in honor of him, because we adopted him pretty much the same week that I heard the news about his Ryan Davis's passing. Vinny, Brad, and Alex went on to form Nextlander last year, which is like kind of taken off in its own way. And now with Jeff leaving, it's kind of crazy. Like, none of the people who had originally started the site are there, so it'd be very interesting to see how it's going to continue. The official line is the official thing is that there are 9 people left at Giant Bomb, and they're all kind of like new faces or who've been around for like a couple of years, like not there from the beginning. It'll be interesting to see if like Matt Rory is like he's taking a really backseat approach. Like, he's been running more of the support and kind of the community side of things for the longest time there, and I wonder if even he's going to leave soon. And I guess as of this publication, both Giant Bomb and Jeff Gerstman haven't really announced kind of what they're working on respectively for the future, but with tomorrow, usually around midday, the Giant Bomb cast will go live, which is like the weekly podcast that Giant Bomb has been doing since it hasn't missed a week since it started, like since that series started in like 2007. So it's like one of those crazy thing. Like the folks at Giant Bomb and GameSpot before, they were one of the first people on, like one of the first video game podcasts, like back in like 2005, that like became popular. So it's crazy. Like, there's a lot of heritage, there's a lot of history there. It'll be a shame to see him go, but you're always excited to see what happens, because change, like the changing of the guard is going to happen. It'll happen to us one day as well, but it'll be interesting to see what happens next. Like, for me personally, I just thought I'd include this because it's been a very huge part of my life. I've spent all my adult life and most of my like adolescent life, probably most of it actually, probably more than half my life spent listening to these guys, whether they were at GameSpot. Like, I'm a couple of years older than John and Kai, so I've been following like the games industry from like a news cycle, like a daily news cycle, since like 2003, 2004. So I've been a video game nerd, not in playing games, but reading about them and like reading the news for like a very long time. So, and it's a huge part of why I'm, why we're here today. Is like Doublejump is something that it kind of came about, the desire to have our own voices out there and to give our friends, people we meet, the chance to kind of have their voices heard, and that's where John and Kai, you guys came into the picture, and we've been able to kind of give you guys a home to kind of shoot the shit, get the comments, get the opinions out there, write about stuff, talk about stuff, even play. Like, I know, Kai, when you were like on staff, you were holding down the fort on Saturdays with your indie streams and things like that.
You're gonna get me tearing up from nostalgia. Love the indie streams.
And yeah, John, like, I mean, you've been around for a long time now, so I mean, I can't even count how many articles you've edited and written for us, and how many podcasts you've hosted with me. So it's like, if anything, like, just want to say thank you to all the work that like a thank you to like the work, the inspiration, the support that Jeff, you've given us over the couple of decades and more that you've been in the industry, and I'm super excited to see what you come up with next. I mean, I highly doubt you're listening. I mean, you're orders of magnitude have more popularity than the entirety of Doublejump combined. But just wanted to say super thank you, and super excited for your next project. And yeah.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, I'll say as well, it's like you've said like all this like old stuff from 2008, and it's just like, well, it's like 2008 really that long ago? That all that stuff about YouTube and stuff is true.
Think about it, man.
It's
it's
ancient.
Yeah.
Well, I can feel my back start to ache.
Yeah. That's probably from all the moving, though. Let's be honest.
No,
Sitting
it's
on a pile of
age.
boxes.
ripe old age of 24.
Oh, you're so much younger than us.
us. Well, that's going to do it for the news. How about we take a quick 30-second break and then talk about the some of the stuff we've been watching and playing over the past week and a bit. Oh, where did that window go? Come back.
No.
Live show, folks. Live show.
Everyone got their gamer juice.
It's called H2O.
The real gamer juice is water. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
Yeah. Exactly. So I guess I'll kick things off with a double header that of over the past week. So I know John, you've seen. Have you seen it? Okay, I watched Top Gun on Thursday, and then I watched Top Gun Maverick on Friday. I was lucky enough to find some seats to go watch it in IMAX because I was like, who knows when, you're gonna get such a big movie again. Like, I really super enjoyed the original Top Gun. I'm a super heavy machinery, army, whatever nerd. So for me, it was fascinating. Like the fact that they were able to get so many cool shots and everything from in the 80s. Like it was released.
Yeah,
in
that actually
86.
really stood out to me. That
Yeah.
part of it. I keep going. Sorry.
Yeah, you saw it recently as well, right?
Yeah, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. I think
Yeah.
when the first tweets about how good Maverick was gonna be came
Yeah.
out, it's like, oh, that's right, I haven't seen it yet. So when I saw it, it's
Yeah.
I think about all the shots of the jets in the 80s. It's like that really
Crazy.
stood out to me. It's like
Yeah.
I was kind of impressed, but in the sense that it's like, oh, that's right, this would have been really hard. So that's why they're all so far away and quick. It's
Yeah.
because they can't get all that close up. It's like, yeah, I don't know. It's yeah. What else did you think about it? Just so we gotta want to go.
I mean, let's not beat around the bush here. Like, it's a very homoerotic film in terms of like pretty much most of the movie is spent with men sweating in peak physical condition, whether they're shirtless in locker rooms, playing beach volleyball. There's a lot of innuendo and stuff. Like it's a very 80s film, and there was a time in the 80s where you could kind of be gay but not be overtly be out, but you could just kind of talk about that stuff. And then there was a snap, who knew, maybe it was George Bush or something, kind of snapped down, and then the 90s became very less of that happened. I don't know.
That was AIDS.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But not
and
today.
Reagan.
Oh yes, Reagan is who I'm thinking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't do the drugs, kids. And let's be honest, the original Top Gun very much comes across as I know it wasn't specifically made as a recruitment film, but it certainly does portray the Navy, the American Navy, as in a very positive light, very patriotic, positive light. Even though it doesn't mention Russia by name as the enemy, it's just kind of I don't think they do specifically mention Russia, right? They just say MiG, and you just happen to know that MiGs were made by Russia, the planes were made by them.
Okay.
I mean, it gets some history. Top Gun was so successful at getting people to enlist in the Navy. Recruiters started setting up in cinemas.
Wow.
So they could get people as they came out of the movies. Be like, hey, now you've seen the movie, now see the reality, which is much less fun and
Much less
interesting than
cool,
Top
yeah.
Gun.
Way less volleyball played on the beach in the Navy.
Yeah.
And
That's what I
that
signed
you
up
actually have to do a ton of training before you even get to see a jet.
yeah. I guess the premise of the original Top Gun is that essentially there's an awesome the best of the best pilots get flown out to this school where they get trained to be the elite, and whoever does the best every year gets selected as the Top Gun for that year. You know what I mean? And like like Tom Cruise's character, he's kind of like a I don't know, like Daredevil type. I guess Maverick makes sense.
You could almost
yeah.
describe him as a maverick.
It's
yeah.
a Maverick in a way, yeah. So he get him and his co-pilot get transferred to the academy to become these like ace pilots. And I'm not gonna spoil it because I think it really is a good. I actually personally really like the movie. I think it really does hold up, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. Like it sets up enough so that you do build relationships with the characters. You definitely get the sense of the different personalities within like that type of like group dynamic. But and there are like genuine moments of sadness and of like giving up, and then you've got the triumphant return. And I like the fact that when there is tragedy, like the person comes back, but they don't necessarily win everything again. They still struggle to come back and find their edge. But I don't know. You guys have both seen it, right? Like John, you've seen it definitely. Kai, yourself as well.
I haven't seen the new one yet.
Okay, but you've seen the original.
I've seen the original, yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
What did you think of the original? I'll start with you, John, because you saw it recently.
Like you breaking down the story there, like it kind of like one thing that was like kind of very surprising to me, because the only thing I've known about Top Gun before I watched it was homoeroticism and jet fighter action. That's the only thing I knew about it, and that's all I was expecting from
Danger
it.
Zone.
And like the structure of it was very surprising to me, where it's just like a very small, modest feeling naval school with like 10 people in it, because that's what Top Gun is. Like I feel like that's kind of probably close to reality as well, just considering what the nest. I mean, I'm not sure if it's even real. Probably
It is.
I don't
It's a real school.
Oh, it is.
It's a real thing. Yeah.
Right. Anyway, but it's just like, it kind of starts with them getting to the school, and it's like it's mostly that setting, and with like a romance drama happening alongside it. And then there's like a big action sequence for like 15 minutes at the end.
Yeah.
But it's like a lot of it's like dramatic. Like there isn't actually like there is jet stuff throughout, but they're only like very short bits of it.
Yeah.
And then it's mostly just character interactions. And I personally didn't love it. I don't think it held up great, but that's also just expectations talking as well to an extent. But it's oh yeah, I also say like really young Tom Cruise is like he looks like a doll. He looks very odd.
my wife was like, why didn't they get rid of his monobrow? Like, why did they keep that as
I know
his
that as well. That's very distracting. I was kind of wondering, it's like, man, how acceptable was this in the 80s for a movie star? It's just like it's fine, but it's like it's an odd thing to see in like a mainstream whatever it is action film, I suppose.
And it was very weird, like he was very clearly the shortest person in the cast. Like some of the angles and shots they used. I guess clearly that must have been a sore point for the directors or whatever.
Yeah, like overall I wasn't. Oh, sorry, but like overall I wasn't like blown away by it.
Yeah.
Basically,
I think I got really hyped up and really into it. Even like the fact that they played like Danger Zone 4 times in the movie or something. I was like, hey, if you get a song like that, you use it. You get all your money's worth for it.
How many times did they go into the danger zone before the danger zone just expands and they're always in it?
Yeah, they just say, we're back in the danger zone.
Yeah.
We're driving in the danger zone. We're still in the danger zone.
We've actually been in the danger zone for quite a while.
We are now leaving the danger zone. But like, apparently the song "Take My Breath Away" that plays during the love scene or whatever. Like apparently they won an Oscar for like best original. Like kind of, I was like, so technically I think Top Gun is a Grammy and an Academy Award winning film.
Just like Suicide Squad.
Yeah. What did that win for? Like, was it for the song?
Like costumes or something.
Costumes or something, yeah. Wow. Yeah, so especially like thinking of the cinematography for the day, it's like really well shot. Like it's got very basic kind of like CGI, like of like the heads-up display. Like you can tell they kind of like put that in post and things like that. But it was a very cool contained story. Like it didn't overstay its welcome. So neither of you have seen Top Gun Maverick, right? Okay.
No.
It is.
No.
I personally found it fucking phenomenal. It is better than the first movie. Um, it 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 has a lot of the same beats in terms of like it's sort of like I don't know if have you seen did you watch the most recent Halloween? Not the
Yeah.
one that came out this year, the one that came out a couple of years ago, which was basically sort of like an homage slash remake of the original. It's kind of like a retelling. It's like a it was like imagine all the other Halloweens didn't happen. It was just Halloween one and then this Halloween, right? So this is sort of like that in like there's a lot of similar things, you know, like he's still a Maverick, he's still kind of like a loose cannon, but he's still dealing with the kind of, I guess, kind of the still dealing with the memories of what happened to his co-pilot in the first movie, and now the co-pilot's son is now like in Top Gun, and how he made some decisions around, you know, that person's career progression and stuff has caused kind of that rift, that animosity now. But there's definitely a lot of storyline about, you know, redemption, acceptance, forgiveness, you know, camaraderie. I guess like that you probably wouldn't expect. And similar to the first movie, like it's not an overly long film. Like it's like 2 hours and 10 minutes, which is I guess in 2022 apparently not a long film. Like considering all the Marvel and like DC films we've gotten used to over the past few years. So like, and the cinematography is on like another level. Like, especially if you guys get the chance to go to IMAX and watch it and hear it in that, like it really does bring it and come alive. And those action sequences and everything, especially now with the technology, like they've got like, you know, 8K cameras or something like sitting in the cockpit, and because of the way the movie shot, Tom Cruise actually had to teach the cast how to shoot and operate the cameras while they're flying at like thousands of kilometers an hour, like because they had to do all the cinematography and get all their lighting and everything done while they were flying. So it's so cool how they shot it. Like if you really like Top Gun's like cinematography, this is like a whole nother level. Yeah.
Right.
So
Neat.
yeah.
I've heard nothing but good things about it, so
Yeah.
I will
It's like
go and see it.
90-something% on Rotten Tomatoes. Like, it's like much better than you'd expect something like this. And like, I think Tom Cruise's performance in this is really, really excellent. Like, I think he's like as an actor, it's probably probably one of his best roles. Yeah.
That is always my struggle with Tom Cruise. The man is the worst in so many ways.
Yeah.
Like Tom Cruise sucks, but
Like
god damn, is he a good actor?
Yeah, it's like I'm the same. It's like every time Tom Cruise like comes back into like, you know,
Yeah.
culture again and I start thinking about him, it's like, oh, that's right. He's like the like right hand of Scientology, a gay
Yeah.
organization that like enslaves people. And it's just like it makes it
Yeah.
really distasteful, I think.
It's the worst, and it makes the movies difficult to watch because you're like, yes, I'm having fun watching Top Gun or Mission Impossible.
I mean, the good thing to know is that Scientology is the only religion in the history of religion to ever do anything wrong. So I think we'll be safe there.
Yeah. I
You
guess.
make a
Yeah.
good point about the double standards, but I would argue that Buddha was never an action movie star.
Like I don't know, man. There was some mid millennium artwork that might disagree. It was, but no, it was. I really think it was really great, and like in terms of reviews, like it's been out for a few weeks, like internationally, and a couple of weeks here in Australia, or I think last week. No, a couple of weeks here in Australia, and it's still 8.7 out of 10 on IMDb and 97% on Rotten Tomatoes. And who knows? Like, it's definitely a great movie, and I think it was like, it's kind of great for the time. Like, it's like, yes, it's a war movie, but it's less about like, again, it's like a nondescript country, nondescript enemy, like. it's and they never refer to the planes as like the actual models. They just call them as the 5th generation fighter that you're going to come up against, and as well as planes that used to belong, like, you know, that were made like old planes from, like, you know, the US and stuff, that have now ended up in the enemy's hand, this unidentified enemy's hands. And yeah, like, I would definitely recommend it to you both if you get the chance to watch it. It would be a lot of fun.
Mhm.
Just
Cool.
yeah, I think there was only one danger zone in this though.
What?
Maybe,
So,
maybe
1 star.
1 star. Yep.
You
Maybe
get
there were
1
more.
star for every danger zone.
Maybe they'll do a director's cut, and all it is just every song is replaced with danger zone.
Just looping.
It's just like, oh god. Yeah, and yeah, and you tell, like, in the crowd, like, there were a lot of like middle-aged men and like all the young people. There was like definitely an age gap there. It's like definitely guys who were like, you know, in their teens or early 20s when that first movie came out. Hey, who potentially joined the Navy are now watching this, and like, if the conversations at the urinal that I overheard are anything to go by, is really, I think the public sentiment's good on this as well.
Oh, I'm so glad I joined the Navy.
Oh man, that was exactly like my time in the Navy.
Yeah. Well, that's and I guess, like, as a quick follow up to that, is that it made me. Well, it didn't make me, like, I definitely did it. Like, I ended up buying Ace Combat 7, Unknown Skies, or Skies Unknown, whatever it's called, and then it had Top Gun Maverick DLC. So of course I had to buy that.
Microsoft Flight Simulator also has
Has it?
Maverick
Yeah.
DLC.
Yeah, but that's more like
Which
just
is-
like flying. So I was like, you know what? This one at least it's more like arcadey, so I can just jump in and just shoot around. So it's been like a little bit of fun so far. It's like one of those like really basic Japanese PC ports. So there's like not really many effects. It's just kind of like on or off for a lot of things. Like you
Yeah.
couldn't actually select 4K as a resolution until you close the game and then restarted it. Then it somehow shows up in the menu. It's like, what?
Oh,
But yeah, that it's I've only played the first mission, so the crazy thing about it is that in a lot of the games, they actually take place in an alternate reality version of Earth called the Strange Real Universe. And in this, like, there's like 1984 style like versions of the European and the kind of US continents and the countries, and like US is called UCR, it's like USEA and stuff like that. Like, there's like some of the previous games have had a lot of like have been commentaries on war and how, and like actually didn't have black and white villains. Like, you actually saw things from the perspective of like a pilot on the other side, and you built sympathy for them and a respect for them, and like you saw, like, you know, villages and stuff getting destroyed. Like, it had a lot more like in-depth kind of like just things to say than you'd expect from a jet shooting game. Like, but yeah, I don't know if this game has a lot of that. I still haven't gotten into it. But like, by all means, like, the fans who are like super into them, like the games, have enjoyed it so far.
I
Apparently,
mean, what we've done is confirmed that Tom Cruise exists in Strange Real.
yeah, exactly. Like, somehow, I mean,
Somehow Tom Cruise returned.
somehow, yeah. But yeah, I'll kind of leave it there for the jet talk, and maybe swing things over to the going from the Strange Real to the Upside Down and the Stranger Things season 4. John, you've seen episode 1 to 7. I've seen 1 to 5. Kai, I know you've been moving. I'm not sure if you've had the chance to see it yet.
I throw myself on the pyre. I've seen episode 1 and 2 of season 1 of Stranger Things, and that was
Wow.
it. I am
Okay.
so out of the zeitgeist.
Fair enough. Maybe we'll do like the long, in-depth conversation. Might have to do that next week.
No.
No, I was thinking maybe we should keep it until next week because we have been running a little long.
Holy
So I
shit!
was
Yes,
thinking-
we are at 2 hours, I think.
Yes.
Oh dear. Oh, jeez.
Well, no, not up. I don't think we're at 2 hours
No,
yet.
not yet. Not yet.
No.
Okay.
Hmm.
Whew. All right.
That's
all right.
time I could have watched Top Gun Maverick.
Oh, I'm not gonna get that time back. All I can then what I'll put it this way is that like I've really enjoyed what I've seen so far. I found it I found it like probably even more gripping than like some of the older seasons. Like I don't know, there's just the concurrent storyline that there's always happening, like that the show's always had. I think is like I don't know, it's really working well. The characters, the dialogue, everything just kind of like it like fits like a glove, and you just kind of like moving to the next step. Like you don't want to put it down. You just want to keep binging it. So got to watch episode 6 and 7, and then 8 and 9 come out July. I think 11th
Yeah.
of July. So a couple. Of
Oh,
weeks.
yeah. Well,
4
we'll-
weeks.
Yeah, like we'll try and keep. I won't talk too much, but it's like I do think it's worth mentioning how incredibly long every episode is.
100%.
Every episode is
yeah.
at least 70 minutes,
Yeah.
Jesus.
and then episode 7 is an hour and 40.
It's feature length. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
feature. It's like
And then-
as long as most movies like that.
And we already know the lengths for 8 and 9, which come out in like the start of July. 8, I think, is an hour and 15 minutes, but 9 is 2 hours and 2.5 hours.
Wow.
Which is
That's
just-
not a TV show anymore.
That's what I was saying. It's like it's
What?
not a television show anymore.
It's like
when
a
you're just
telemovie.
having
It's
a
a
giant-
movie.
So why
But
not
it's like,
just make episode 10?
yeah, it's not.
What?
Yeah.
I don't get it. I
Look,
don't
not,
get it.
Anyway.
to, not to criticize a show I haven't seen, but learn to pace your episodes.
That is actually a little bit of an issue, I think, so far. I have been enjoying it a
yeah.
lot, but
Uh,
I think
a
as I got
commitment.
to the end, I have like the issues I had with it kind of. I was like more aware of it by the time I got to the end. It's like, oh, I see the problems I have with it now. Where it's like, but we'll get into it next week, I think, once you've had a chance to watch the other 2 episodes.
I will say, yeah. Sorry, Kai.
I would love to be wrong, and please correct me if it turns out I am. I am skeptical that in 2.5 hours there is not a place where you could have cut it and made an episode 10.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't. I guess we'll see.
Well, yeah. we'll
I'm
find
sure.
out.
I have a feeling you're right.
Yeah. I would say so too. But one thing I will say is that we're 4 seasons into the show, and by all means, it sounds like this is the final season. It seems like it anyway. I don't know if it's confirmed.
Yeah, but there's actually another one
or,
coming.
with these people, is like a spin-off, like telling a different.
No,
story.
there's a 5th season coming.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh. Oh, then why is this
It
one
does
so
feel.
long?
It does feel like kind of the end.
It,
Though,
it
a little
does.
bit.
Then why is this one so long? Anyway,
This one is
sorry.
like. Yeah. Okay. We'll go into it later.
Yeah, we'll talk. We'll have more to say, I think, next month. But we're 4 seasons in, potentially a 5th one coming. Yet we still haven't met the parents of the only 2 main black characters.
Is that true? Oh no, they come off, don't they?
No,
I
have we-
thought they did.
no, they still haven't shown the family, like their family. You just see the younger sister, and you see Lucas and his younger sister. But we still
No,
don't-
they definitely come up because it comes up in the show. So maybe maybe it's the episode after you're at.
okay.
Because you're probably right in that they haven't shown up before though. That
which
does
is
sound correct.
like SNL did a skit about that in like 2000, like whenever like just after the first season, saying like they did like a mock, like a fake behind the scenes of the making of season 2, and they had like an outtake with like people playing the black like the black kids, like the Sinclairs, like parents, and like how because of like the joke is that like they're the only ones who see how ridiculous everything is around them, and that's like I'll send it to you after this, John. But if folks at home look up SNL Stranger Things, it's actually pretty funny. Makes a pretty good point about like how ridiculous everything is and how it sounds. But yeah, I mean, I guess I'm happy that we finally get to see that this token black family exists. Is the only one of the kids' parents who we finally get to see after so long.
Yeah. Well, again, I'm sure we'll get into it a bit next week, but diversity has not gotten much better. That's definitely something worth mentioning.
Oh, okay, that's good to know.
No, you've watched it. It's like it hasn't gotten
okay,
much
yeah,
better.
yeah. I don't know about 6 and 7, but yeah, 1 to 5 hasn't really changed.
Yeah, very white. But
Yeah,
enough Stranger Things talk. Um,
but yeah, Kai, can you regale us about?
All right. Well, look, while you guys were watching Stranger Things and Top Gun, I went out and watched Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I mean, how you managed to do that? Like to do everything, so like to watch everything. Like I
Yeah,
mean,
I did that
at the
while
same
juggling
time.
a
Wow.
move. So
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, you probably had
uh,
to enlist the help of your other selves across the multiverse to get you
I
across.
absolutely did. That was my main thing. It is obviously a multiverse movie.
Mm. The
So
second one to come out in like 2
yeah,
months.
it's gonna get compared to Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
My problem with the Doctor Strange one is there wasn't much of the multiverse in it. They did like two
No.
universes.
No. There was like
And
one
then went back.
sequence where you went through, and then
Yeah.
you're right.
Um,
It could have done more.
yeah.
Definitely.
Everything Everywhere All at Once feels like a multiverse movie.
Cool.
Like
That's awesome.
there are obviously a few key ones. But off the top of my head I can think of about 6 key ones that keep coming back
Mm.
and about a million other other either one-off jokes or little dramatic, you know,
Mm.
moments.
Yeah.
But yeah, what got me about it is just the ultimate simplicity of the story. It's got all the sci-fi trappings, you know, dimension jumping. Oh, let's go to a different multiverse, whatever. Ultimately, the story, kind of like the original Top Gun, is not about not about the fancy jets. It is a family drama about this
The people.
middle-aged woman trying to find herself
Mm.
and figure out what's important to her,
Yeah. And
which I
what's
really like.
and as far as I understand, just maybe for my benefit and for folks at home, maybe and John as well, like this is how I've understood the story to be. Like the premise is that this person basically finds out that there are other universes out there, and that other versions of herself are like super like competent at fighting at different skill sets and stuff, right? Is that and then like kind of the I guess the shenanigans and stuff that'll ensue from discovering that and you know whatever you know the consequences of that are. Is that essentially the premise of the film without spoiling?
Essentially, the big thing is no one can physically travel to another universe.
Okay.
What they do instead is they can transfer their consciousness into another body.
Okay.
okay.
Okay, so
yeah.
the Scarlet Witch trick, gotcha. Yeah.
A little bit, yeah. Then obviously in Universe Prime, they have some of those skills,
Mm.
and they get to see a little bit of this alternate universe that they've just visited.
Mm.
But it's all very very sliding doors. It's all about, you know, this is what your life would be like if you made this decision instead.
Yeah.
And it sometimes, you know, it goes through, not all the time. Sometimes it explains exactly how things played out.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil it. There is one sort of joke universe where people have hot dogs for fingers.
Nice.
And some of the characters are like, how did this come about? This is ridiculous and stupid. And it goes into this brilliant parody of A Space Odyssey. With the
Oh wow. That is
the
fascinating.
apes at the very start of that movie.
Oh
It
my
just does
oh
that
wow.
thing.
I think I know the scene you're talking about.
Yeah. But the apes kill someone with normal fingers, and it's revealed they all have dogs. And that's the
Wow.
entire
I
explanation.
wow. I gotta watch this movie. That sold it to me. It's a spiritual successor to Sausage Party. Like what else could you want? You know, the Seth Rogen magnum opus from like a decade ago or whenever it was.
Genuinely, this easily my favorite movie of the last decade.
Wow.
Like,
I've heard really
Oh,
good
okay.
things about this as well. Like similar to Top Gun. Like I haven't heard anyone say anything bad about it.
yeah, it's while the underlying story is quite dramatic, and you can feel those emotions at play, and the tensions. This would be a great movie without all the sci-fi trappings.
Yeah.
Just purely a dramatic piece, like an amateur theater society would do. But this is so funny.
Yeah. Okay.
It's-
Yeah, I think
Okay.
sometimes it's maybe sometimes those are the best sci-fi films where if you take away the sci-fi stuff, it's still a great drama or a great story there, and then I think then the it's like Star Wars like Episode 5. Like, well, for me personally, like Empire Strikes Back, I think if you took the sci-fi stuff away, it's still like a very very cool story about someone like a son reuniting with his father who has been who has gone over to like to like a different side of morality that he doesn't agree with, and has committed different he's part of a regime that's committed different atrocities and war crimes and things like there's a lot of other things that you can kind of find parallels to.
those characters are still really resonant, even without
exactly
all the bells and whistles of
and
the
then when you
universe.
add the bells and whistles in, it becomes even like there's a suspension of disbelief that allows you to kind of get lost in the lore, and I think sometimes that's what makes great sci-fi is they can sometimes it provides commentary, or sometimes it's just a really good narrative, and it just happens to have the sci-fi around it.
Yeah, I mean, watching a movie or reading a book or any sci-fi, you don't connect with a lightsaber. You connect with the characters.
Yeah.
So it's about making those grounded and us understanding them. And I think it does this really well.
Yeah.
While also being really inventive and funny. And
Yeah.
just it's fun to watch.
Yeah.
Like a lot of movies, even the ones that are supposed to be fun, they don't feel as fun as they used to.
And it's something interesting because so my wife hasn't seen episode 1, 2, and 3. She's seen episode 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right. So I was like, oh yeah, we should watch Obi-Wan. That's the new film. She's like, what's that? What's that about? I'm like, oh, it's about Obi-Wan Kenobi. She's like, who's that? I'm like, oh, I remember the old guy from that one movie.
That old guy who was in 2 scenes.
And then
You remember that jobber who got chopped down by Darth Vader?
literally, like he's in it for one movie, but half that movie he insists his name is Ben.
Remember that old guy who did nothing but lie the entire time he was on screen?
Lied to a minor
It's
and
that
kidnapped,
guy.
like assist in his escape against the the instructions of his surviving guardians.
I hope the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV show explains at exactly what point Obi-Wan decided to just start spewing bullshit everywhere.
Exactly. So I think this is going to be like Obi-Wan's going to be a show that only I will watch. Oh, hey, we've got someone in chat. Hello. Hey, Macon. Oh, no. It's a bot. Never mind.
No.
I mean, I would like to be famous, but no, I'm all good.
Oh.
Thank you, Mason.
Yes, please send me
Followers
pictures
and
of hot singles in my area. I'm so lonely.
Announcing Doublejump version 4. It's going to be exclusive. No, anyway.
Only jumps.
That's the thing. Like, I just realized, like, for someone like her, Obi-Wan has no significance whatsoever in the lore. Like, he's not even mentioned in the new trilogy, like in the trilogy that just happened. I don't even think.
That's actually kind of that's an interesting point, actually. It's like it's so nostalgia heavy.
It's so
and everyone
reliant on
did
you
on the
filling the
clock.
gaps.
The new trilogy named Kylo Ren Ben after him, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
That's the
Yeah,
only
but
role.
only in the first
Obi-Wan.
movie. Like, if you'd forget that because it was only in one scene.
Yeah.
And I think maybe in it was because
But also, why did Leia and Han name their child Ben?
because
they had
of
no
Obi-Wan, right?
Yeah, but they had no connection to Obi-Wan.
I mean,
I guess Leia kind of did. Leia knew him somehow, which is what
Yeah.
the show's kind of covering, actually.
remember,
But
like,
I guess
Leia
knew-
sends for Obi-Wan Kenobi,
True.
So while
That is
Luke,
that was a weak connection, though. I agree.
Yeah, right.
it's like technically while Luke was on like farming, while Luke was on Tatooine, stuck on Tatooine, which is where all good Star Wars goes to die. I feel like, in the modern context.
As soon as you return to Tatooine, you're
yeah.
done.
And like Leia actually was adopted by the Organa family, and was around the rebellion like from pretty much she was a kid. So that's why like technically Obi-Wan has more to talk about from that point of like is more relevance there from her point of things, but the Star Wars story always followed the Skywalkers in terms of Luke, so you never got that side of anything. Like,
I mean, on a side note, Leia is a far more interesting character than Luke.
oh yeah,
Like,
like she actually did shit.
yeah. Also, far more tragic backstory. Her home planet blew up, and like 2 scenes later, she's comforting Luke because an old guy he met once died.
Let himself die. He literally gave up in the middle of the fight.
Yeah. Like,
and then just
I mean,
became a
sucks
ghost.
for you, Luke, but times that by about 3 billion.
Yeah, and then
Leia's just gone through.
Yeah, and then at the beginning of episode 5, he's trolling Luke by like appearing, like talking to him. No, he trolls him at the end of episode 4, like by just like fucking off and then saying, "Oh, by the way, do as I tell you."
Yeah, an old guy died, but not really.
Yeah.
Leia's planet blew up, and yet she's the one doing all that there.
Like the old man, a young man, goes to an old man to like for help. The old man teaches the young man how to handle a lightsaber, and then disappears. That's the plot of. That's the plot of Star Wars.
Crazy old hermit gives teenager a weapon of mass destruction. Dies.
Who holds the fate of millions and millions of people across the galaxy, and who denies who he is for like almost the entirety of the film. Oh man, I feel bad, but now I want to go watch. Now I'm gonna make her watch Star Wars Episode 1, 2, and 3. Because like,
what a great husband.
Yeah, that's just. She has to know what we went through. She has to know what it feels like to be a Gungan. Like she has to live that life. But anyway, that's gonna do it for. I think that's gonna do it for this episode. I think we've been rambling on enough for all sorts of different sci-fi worlds and spreading
Incredible how
opinions.
You and I, Abir, can both make an effort not to go on these tangents that we so often do.
Yeah, but it'll still
coming
happen.
Up on
It'll still happen.
2 hours.
And then John's left to pick up the pieces and get us back on topic.
I feel like that's a generous description of what I do. I feel like most of it is just not contributing more.
Nah, that's what
John
works.
grits his teeth and gets through it.
You play the straight man to our color commentary. I think that's how it works. That's you're the voice.
Yeah, that
of
is
reason.
how it works.
Yeah. Every few weeks, Abir says, "Hey, let's get Kai on as a guest again,
and let's block in 3 hours instead." Well, let's wrap up the show. It's always a pleasure to be able to talk, and I guess as always, Doublejump and Doublejump Radio is made possible thanks to the support of our wonderful members. You can go to doublejump.co/memberships and sign up today. You can also join via our Patreon at patreon.com/doublejump, and feel free to follow us on social media at Doublejump, like completely on Instagram, at DBLJump on Twitter and Facebook, and at DoubleJumpCo on Twitch. And as always, you can always send us your questions or your responses to any of the opinions that you disagree with at podcast@doublejump.co. But yeah, that's Quitter, Kai, your Twitter is
my Twitter is at Kai Holroyd.
Kai _ Holroyd.
Yes. Thank you, Abir, for reminding
Yes.
me what my
I
Twitter
was tagging you with the social media for today's thing, and I was like, why is it not showing up? And then I realized there's an underscore in there.
Yeah. I put that in just to throw everyone off, and it's finally backfired on me.
And you can find John on Twitter at John Reeves DX for all I guess the more sensible tweets,
Mostly retweets.
mostly retweets and sensible retweets of things, all things gaming related, I guess, a variety of different topics. And you can find me. I wouldn't bother following me on Twitter because I frankly don't have much to say on there. You're better off following at DBLJump to get all the awesome updates from our team. But yeah, I think it's time for the outro. Let's kind of take a little bit easy. Kai, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Always a pleasure.
Especially on the day that you're moving.
Yeah.
Oh,
Big ask.
You are a crazy man. But at least you're not in darkness anymore.
That is nice.
And
You're
John,
out in.
always a pleasure to shoot the shit with you. And I hope that you see Top Gun Maverick. You both see Top Gun Maverick, and maybe we can do our own kind of like breakdown of that.
That gets sent off to us. I hope we see Top Gun Maverick.
Alright, take care, everyone.
Good luck with Stranger Things.
Yeah, that'll definitely be something that we'll have to control. Sorry, that'll be something that we can definitely talk about. Maybe in 3 years when you catch up. Yeah, otherwise, John, we'll do a proper breakdown next month.
Yep. All right. Is that it? Yeah, thanks, guys. Not sure what else to say. I'm always terrible at these parts.
No, it's
but
all good.
yeah,
It's all
keep
good.
going.
I gotta I'm gonna